All right, we're back in chapter 7. We're going to take a look at how this time to integrate arrays by taking data that's in a file, a text file already, loading that text file into an array. So step 1, we're going to create a size and we're going to create the array itself. We're going to initialize the index counter here to 0. We are now reading from a file into an array, so we're going to use the class here called the stream reader, create an instance of that variable here called the input file, and then that input file is then going to be connected to an open text, and so it's going to open this text file that we already have, probably in the default folder called values.txt, and it's going to contain at least 5 elements in there. All right, now in this example, we're showing that you can use other repetition structures. So we could say here, while the index is less than the array's length. And again, I could have just put in, I could replace this with the number 5. I could replace this with the number, with the word size, or I could have actually even, well, this is probably the best choice because when we're dealing with a file, we may not know how long it is. But well, in this case, we've declared it to 5, so it should be either 5 or should be size, or should be this one right here. So that's the first part of this loop, is that as long as it's less than, that's good, and as long as the file is not at the end of the stream. So both of those conditions are true. Let's process this loop. All right, so what are we going to do? Well, we're going to read in from the input file, and we're going to parse it into an integer. So we're going to take that first number, which from the previous example was 10, and we're going to stick it into 0, increment to the next array element through the subscript here, loop back up, and repeat the process 4 more times. It's going to basically take the information from that value text file, keep reading it line by line, and inputting it into an array object right here. All right, now in Learning Objective 7.4, they're talking about passing an array as an argument to a method. And we've talked about passing arguments to methods in the past, and how the method's parameter can then catch that argument and then pull it into the method to process it. So in this example here, we're going to set up an array of a bunch of people's names. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 people set up in an array: Bill, Jill, Phil, and Will, and we called it people. So this is that variable that we're going to use. Now we've got an array method that we've created called show the array for all the people. Now remember, the people contain all 4 of those people in there. So when we do that, people gets entered in as the argument, and that argument gets passed into the array. Now remember, when we're passing people into the parameter, I could have probably called that people, but I called it the string array here. I have to declare it as a certain type. Now it's an array, so it's a string array, so we have to declare it as that type. Don't forget that. And we pass all 4 of those people into here. All 4 of those people are here, so therefore we could use a repetition structure for each person in that array. We want to loop. So for each string, for each str here that we've declared as a string in this array here, we want to go through. So we're going to basically take that first person, which would be Bill, show Bill. Then we're going to loop. We're going to show a message box for Jill, or a message box for Phil, and one for Will. So this would loop 4 times. So what we're doing in this example here is we're actually passing an entire array as the argument. All 4 of those names get passed into here. They get put into here, that one by one loop through here and get displayed individually into the message box right there.